You are graduating, the next moment we hear is that I'm leaving. Some people say I'm leaving Buea to Yaoundé. I'm leaving Buea to Dubai. I'm going to Bahrain to go and see what to do. But when these people leave, we also need to look at how the process in which these youths leave the country, or if they are leaving, are they sure of where they are going to? That is a problem further. So we need to actually look at that, and the youth should be well aware about everything about migration, because it's a call for concern now when it concerns youth.
So, Mr. Awajef, to the best of my knowledge, why is migration so common with the youth at this point in time? Because I know that maybe some of our parents do go out for practice this whole issue of migration, but then a chunk of the young boys and girls, like you said, after graduation ceremony, the next agenda that they have is like maybe for master's degree. Some will not, they know that their own master's degree is going after the country, maybe to migrate either from Buea to Yaoundé, or from Buea to Bamenda, or Buea to Betoa or Edea, so you may name the rest. Why is it so common among the young people?
Well, most of the times, Father, many of these youths tell you that they are going out there for greener pastures. That's to get a better standard of living, a better living conditions for themselves and the family that they have. Because it has happened to me, like I said, I graduated from the University of Buea, and then at one point in time, I had to go and work. I had to go and teach in a primary school in Yaoundé. I mean, it was the best option I could have at that particular point in time, and I had no choice. I found myself going to my 17, getting a bus, packing all my things that I had in my small room, and going to Yaoundé. But when I went there, things became rough, tougher, and I had to come back. So this migration, youth nowadays are embarking into it because of this connotation of greener pastures. Though they believe that the other land, the other area is better. That's the reason why they want to move away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Awajef, and that they know that the other side of the coin is preferable, and they will not want to stay here. It is better they go that way and see if things are difficult, then they come back to the base. Of course, home is always home. Coming home is always the best thing. Mr. Patrick Pascal, why in your own little maybe or your own experience around in town or maybe in Buea, why this whole massive, or call it exodus of the young people migrating from one place to another? Is it that maybe Buea or the Southwest region itself is not so comfortable for them, or why do you think the young people are always on a move?
Well, I would like to emphasize on two things. The first thing is that you have to understand the need for people to migrate. That is the first thing. It is important for us not to get out of the context, because it's true we are all youths, but what is important is the need for us moving from one place to another. So taking into consideration just the town of Buea, because it's a town in which all of us we are found, we have to understand what are those reasons, what are those things which actually make the life of these youths very difficult in the town of Buea. Is it studies? Is it finances? Is it peer pressure? You have to understand, because moving from UB Junction to my 17, that's not migration for me. Migration for me would be like getting to my 17 with a specific purpose, that is, just as Father Florentin said in the beginning, is internal migration. So it is important for us to know the needs of these youths, to know why is it that they are moving from one place to another. And you can't have the answer when you just focus on maybe one youth. And who is a youth, first of all? A youth is somebody that, firstly, he has a specific age range from 15 to 24. With that range, their needs, there are problems, and with problems come opportunities. So some of these our youth, they actually migrate because they are in need of these opportunities to better their lives, as some are going to tell you. So I think it's important for us to actually get what the context, the needs, and who are these youths, and what are their aspirations in moving from one place to another.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pascal. We could remove from what you've just said, or could deduce from what you've said, the needs of these young people. The needs of these young people. We need to get to that. If you do not maybe put a finger on the need, on their needs, it will be difficult for us to, to know why they are moving from one place to another. And so, Mr. Romeo, what do you think are some of the needs of these young people that you've been working with them for some time now, some years now?
Thank you very much, Father. I wish to say, when we look at the aspect of, we're talking migration and immigration, if you look at, they will have the same purpose. There must be a reason to move. It must be. If you look at migration, the reason for moving will may be greater than the one there for immigration and migration. You see, immigration will be the main pull factor or the push factor. Let me say the push factor, like family influence. You graduate from the university, back at home, your parents know that you need to bring back food on the table. Then you want to see one little child is passing behind, you pulling the child, give me a pop-off. Then you start arousing maybe the family members, start saying, you have graduated from the university, you need to get something to do. And then they put you the pressure. They'll ask you, how much, if you are working, how much have you got so far? Let's put it together, we'll see how you leave this country. Family influence. I'll also talk on that push factor, we'll say love. I'll go in the aspect of love. I think some people will normally, maybe those are in Cameroon, they'll say, well, they will often maybe migrate because, or move to maybe Dubai, the United States of America or Canada. Maybe they have their loved ones that have missed so much and they want to meet them there. I think that's another push factor. But on specifically, I think it's all centered on the issue of greener pasture. All the youth, or even the old, if you ask, because if we are looking at the aspect of the youth, definitely you will tell me when why this is that elderly persons go for American lottery, they go and register for American lottery. If you get to understand that everybody wants to move and the main purpose is for greener pastures. I just think, though, and as the program will get some of these maybe the disadvantages as far as this movement and the advantages, but I think those are the little things for me that I can really like and specify that make people to migrate or immigrate.
Yes, so like Mr. Awa Jefta have been out from the university for years now as a graduate, and he has one or two things doing to make sure that the family keeps on going, works in thanks to God, and blessings have been part and parcel of him, and we continue to pray that those things still continue, and remind him that he should keep on, being that good Christian that he is, and God will continue to bless him. Our Jefta, like Mr. Romeo made mention, family influence has something to do on this movement, either to migrate or maybe out of the country or just in the country, and some other kind of things. But your years after the university, what has been your own case so that these other persons leaving the university may learn one or two things from you? Is it that you just need to move because you are done with your university studies, or what is that? Maybe I'm asking in the other word that you share your experience. It may be of great help to them so that for them to learn one or two things, because we realized that 2 weeks ago and I'm sure this week also there will be many students graduating from higher institution of learning in Boya. And so how do you share this, what are the skills or your secrets that the things that you did that helped you to be where you are at this point in time that may also help them?
Father, that I think maybe this goes a long way to remind me of a lot about the university days and the pains I went through after graduating. Us from a not well-to-do background, we don't even think about that thing, because except you have the means, you don't even think. That's one thing about migration. If you don't have the means, there's no way you're going to think about moving from one place to another. And you are, like Brother Romeo specified, we should have that drive. What is that drive that you are moving away? Back then in the university, it's not been easy. It's not been easy. Those who know me in Moliko and the rest, it has not been easy. And this same issue of migration is what I have now with my wife in the house. Her family already planned her traveling.
Good. So see, family influence from Mr. Romeo said yes, family influence. So those points are very important. To be the loved ones and to abandon the loved one here, how will it look like? US lottery and some other things here.
And I have a fear of going to exchange land. I don't always like to be in a land I'm not used to.
Fear of the unknown.
And my wife is someone who just wants to go.
Adventure.
Just wants to go.
Greener pastures.
And it brings a lot of issues in the house. You see, it starts from the groundwork. You see a family already indoctrinating the child and telling the child that no matter the means, Cameroon or the country is not the best one, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. Just that continuous hitting in the child's head can transform the child's mind. And I just want to tell the youths out there, most especially to my wife who is watching me now, that it's not about traveling. It's not about traveling. And family influence does not have to make you to actually decide whether you want to travel or not. But you should be sure about the land that you are going to go. And I always ask her, that do you have
she's a believer. I'm sure she's taking the example from Abraham that was asked to leave his family and everything. So what do you think about that?
But Abraham, if it's not that he was from God, he would have hesitated.
So why don't you take that?
The saying that is from God. That's the thing now.
But just you want to tell me you don't want to go to maybe to America to bring back the dollars and maybe be a mother, maybe a beautiful house, or maybe your wife get a wife very good car.
We are not saying so, Father.
No, because from what you're saying, because that's what the family wants, you are turning it down.
No.
So you yourself, you don't love dollar. You don't want to touch dollar.
I have been touching
the wife.
Who does not love dollar?
The wife
loves dollar.
Why do you not see as a reason to go?
I think the issue of our Jephthah is that we should not just get into immigration because we want to do it. I think his concern is security checks. We need to do the security checks so that you are sure that what you are investing your time and money in will be able to yield you some food.
Okay.
And so far, I think maybe I just continue from this end. So far, the explanation we have given about migration shows that there are two possibilities. You have internal migration and you have external migration, which is immigration.
Which can be permanently or temporarily.
So I want to dwell a lot on external migration or immigration. That's moving out of your country to another country. Talking about the causes actually. One of the reasons why it is common among the youth is that the youthful age is a period of youthful exuberance, and youth is characterized by the desire for adventure. Some just want to adventure; they want to experience something new. They just want to see what is overseas. Also, there's one very serious reason, and this brings me back to my secondary school days. When we were in the secondary school, there was this famous song by Copo. It was in French, and you please just permit me to mimic it a bit. And the song, it was really popular among us students at that time. And the song, he actually gave one of the reasons in the song. He gave one reason why the youth actually emigrate. And he sang the song. Let me just sing it. The refrain was, "Si tu vois Mango, dis-lui que je go. Si tu vois Mango, dis-lui que je go." Then the verses now he said, "Si tu vois Mango, dis-lui que je go chez les rois pour faire les dos. La galère du camel, tu bolo, mais où sont les dos?" So in that song actually, he is giving some of the reasons why the youth want to go. Hardship in their country, poverty, lack of employment, lack of opportunities. Those are some of the things that push the youth to want to dream to go overseas in order to succeed.
Just to add to that, Father, sometimes nowadays it's becoming a lot of pride for someone to tell you that a fallen bush. a fallen bush. And you, what have you? Have you ever gone out of this country? Do you have a passport? Youths are taking now as an aspect of prestige. So nowadays, after I've started learning now, they ask you where do you actually go to, because there are places and there are places. USA is not the same like Bahrain.
They say if you have gone to USA, you are falling bush. If you have gone to UK, you are falling bush. You have gone to Dubai, you are not falling bush.
But all is out of the country.
All is out of the country. So you see a lot of prestige inside the matter now.
But actually, when you talk about the prestige, you have to take into consideration the fact that talking about youths, there are some of us actually youths who maybe come from families where they can actually afford it. At this particular moment, there is not a deep need, but it's more of luxury than many other things. You take an example of somebody who has been raised in a village, for example. Then the father was a farmer, and then he just had enough money to come to the university to study. But at the end, you realize that after the bachelor degree, there is no other way. Education, hardship, opportunities. You see, when you tend to look at those three aspects, there are a lot of things which make a youth who is conscious, to know actually what he wants to do, where he wants to go, and how he can go about it. So that's why I will come back to say the need for migration. So it's important, first of all, for the youth to know, to accept the situation in which they found themselves. Somebody who has the means who has the means to travel how he wants. He can't be placed on the same level with somebody who actually wants to travel because he wants to better family. So it also comes to what Father said at the beginning, homecoming. So traveling to change home, it's fine. Traveling for luxury, well, for those who can't, but I feel like they too have not yet understood the real purpose of it, of the migration.
Yes, Father, about the famous song.
Yes, by Kopo. Actually, I love that song. In the when we were in the secondary school, that's what we used to use during break to entertain ourselves. And so it really struck us me personally with the message that the author was passing across. And it shows therefore that if you get even in the logic or the dynamics of that song, it shows that the situation was so deplorable that he didn't even have the time to tell his wife he was going. He was actually rushing and sending a message to another person to tell his wife that if you see my wife, tell her that I have gone. It means that he was really running away from danger. So I think it's a call for concern also. If we want that youth should, I think we'll come to that later, but let me not just say it now. Our authorities could see into it that they improve the living conditions of the youth in our country, so that we find pleasure and pride staying in our country rather than imagining that we can only succeed elsewhere. Cameroon has a potential for us to succeed.
Let me just come in. There's one thing that is going on, that there's no need for you to move. You should be self-employed. And I want to tell you that it's not still going. It's not still going because, Father, after obtaining a degree in curriculum studies and teaching in the University of Geography, I taught for 2 months and I was receiving a salary of 35,000 francs. Do you know that in that 2 months, Father, I was being the proprietor of that school could not still pay me the total at the month end to give me that 35,000 francs. I still left. Now like this, I'm self-employed. I have people that are working, maybe I'm paying them. But it's still not, I cannot still meet up with my basic necessities. So, Father, if I have the opportunity to even fall bush to that fall.
You go without thinking twice.
Yes, so we put all these things together. So is it necessary to migrate, and on what basis do we migrate? Is it necessary? Is it necessary? Is it because, for example, like Mr. Romeo said, after leaving the university, the bachelor's degree, and then found himself in the college to teach, and it was proposed 35,000 a month, and at the end of the month, the proprietor also, or maybe those who are concerned, could not pay him the money, and then maybe start doing something to, like, job creator, to do something for himself, but then realize at the end of the day, he cannot really meet with all his needs. So is it necessary, like I said, is it necessary? Is it necessary for the young people to migrate, and on what basis?
Father, it's necessary. I so much believe that when we
because your money was not given.
No, it's not like that, Father. I'm saying at first,
yes,
we know that when we're going, they will give people scholarship to maybe study abroad. Yeah. When you were going back, you know that you were going to study, you come back to your country to impact the knowledge that you must have study out there. So migration is something that you cannot, it started from the beginning. But now the purpose of the migration has been tampered. It's not going. But I think, Father, with the level of difficulties that we find ourselves today, and there are better opportunities of the, I believe in Cameroon, a day you earn 100. There's no job in Cameroon you can earn 100,000 francs. But there are countries that no matter if you sleep under the bridges, you earn 100,000 francs. Somebody traveled to, I know somebody traveled to Canada. Within 6 months, have built the mother's house. No, you don't expect me, Father.
The condition in which he built the mother's house.
No, but he has traveled. He has traveled.
So
we are youth. Everybody needs a better standard of living. I think that is what it's pulling out. Father, I myself, I will go because I also want to drive in a good car.
My brother, please don't forget the moral principle that the end does not justify the means.
To come back to
you cannot do evil so that something good to come out of it.
But Father, if the ends cannot justify them, why is that we are talking about this topic today? That is the general conception. That is what we are facing. So we are looking for a means in which we can really educate ourselves on. But I think, for my own, that's my opinion, Father. Yeah. I think there's.
Now you prefer to go to Canada and give your mother a nice house,
Father, for sure. For sure, Father.
In 6 months.
In 6 months.
In 6 months. You earn more than somebody here that have worked for maybe in the civil service for 9 years, so I've not got it.
Yes, Mr. Gomi, if you are saying that for 6 months, or maybe to make all these things which is necessary, we are told that the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. If all of them, they migrate to so and so country, maybe to go and spend, like to go to Canada in the intention to build a good house for your mother, to buy a good car, who are those who will be the youths of tomorrow, for example, in Cameroon?
When we say tomorrow, can we define the length of tomorrow? Because that tomorrow can actually be a haste or a delay on the part of the youth.
Tomorrow remains tomorrow.
Youth, I'm sure Mr. Ewe is saying that you see a youth will leave, and in 6 months can build a house for the
parents,
family,
yes, or the family, yeah.
Yes, but I'm sure if you are in a particular country, there's no way in which you can be a leader in 6 months, or there's no way you can be someone who can earn that kind of money or do some kind of thing in 6 months.
So you are telling the youths that after maybe their graduation in the various university institute, they go out, and how would they become the leaders of tomorrow in their own countries?
Just to add with that, it's just a way. It's good to go out and you see something and then you bring it back. That's you go and see something that's being done in another country and then you bring it back. It's going to add much strength and much support to your.
Maybe I should add something to that. Maybe I should add something to that by saying that when we ask this question, it may imply or seem to suggest that by migrating, it prevents the youth from being the leaders of tomorrow. But I don't think so. The president of our country now actually, he migrated. He did his studies in France, and after that he came back to be the leader of the country. So it is not in all situations that immigration prevents the youth from being leaders of their country. Like our Jefta said, they just need to be able to balance the equation. When you go there, you acquire the knowledge, you have to return home.
Come back. You see the same thing I'm saying, Father.
The problem with us trying to better our lives, the same pigeon who don't like better life. You see now? Yeah. Yes. The problem is that is the mentality, because I bet you majority of those who are living in our country as youths to go out there for greener pasture, because there's one thing they share in common: they have talents, they have a broad base. That is one thing that makes them even excel. But you agree with me that the more you're talented, the more you might even find it hard to come back to your country, even if you want, because the government where you're going to settle does not want to let you go. You become a priceless asset. You become a precious somebody. Yes. So it's very difficult. So that's why at times there are some who migrate, but still, since they can't be physically present for their families, they prefer sending money and everything. Now, take an example. I'll take just a country like France, where their currency is euro and us is franc CFA. Yeah. A 25-year-old youth in France cannot live in the same condition like a one income. Why? Because firstly, how much is €1? It is 655,000. It's 55 for France. Sorry. So you see that it is pretty high. So it is easier for somebody to go out there trying to find money for himself. You get it? As compared to somebody who maybe lives there and tries to better his life. So it is important also for us to know that talent, if you are talented, you also have to put in the back of your mind that even if you want to come back, it will be difficult. So that is what I want to share.
So, for putting all those things together, can we say in a summary, I hope I will not be biased to say that the youths, are they like running away from their own country?
Father, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because
many of them have been going and not coming back.
Father, for me, if I was the president of this country, and the only thing that I'm so happy with the president of this country is the issue that he has made passports so cheap and fast. Because if you look at the rate at which Monaco is developing, 99% of those buildings there are not being built by maybe civil servants of this nation, people that have traveled. And I want to say, congratulations, Mr. President, you are doing a great job. Because if not of those, people are going and they're working out there in bringing back those incomes. Now that you can even sit in your house, your sister in maybe you are selling momo, and you solve a problem, and you build a house, and you see. Father, I will go to an example to make sure to tell you that this is necessary for young people to even open to migrate. Following the context of our country, because I don't know the context of other nations. I will quote you a very nice example, Father. If you are living precisely now in Monaco, if you turn around, maybe you have a car, you just look at the beautiful city of the beautiful buildings of this town, you say, no, built by bush fallers, I don't think we'll sit here and still talk about other people should not migrate. But I'm not saying that people that are living here have not built, they cannot build such houses. But I said, people have moved for better living condition, and I think it's necessary for young people to even migrate.
So you're telling you maybe one of those persons, as all of us we know in Boya, Da Costa, for example, with the WDC in arriving my 17, because he did some kind of work outside there before coming, and then look at the mansion that he has put on. You're saying that thanks to him going out there for us to have that beautiful, I'm sure that's the best in the Southwest, if you are not making a mistake. So
the evidence is showing it's there.
I have a problem with this bush fallers. when they go and then they come, we discover that all of our beautiful girls they are the ones who take them. I don't know why. So I have a problem with them.
So as December is approaching, you are afraid.
Yes, I think maybe the law, the Cameroon government can stipulate a law to say that if you meet a girl that has already been gotten by a local person, they don't need for a beautiful
love is free.
It's free. It's free.
Are losing the best.
No.
But maybe I quickly about the necessity. Is it
necessary for people to migrate, the young people?
To answer that question, well, we have to make the distinction between necessity and importance. Yeah. Because necessity is something without which we cannot do.
It's like your wants and your needs.
If we say it is necessary to migrate, it means that people cannot live without migrating.
Yeah.
But I would rather say it is important to migrate. And one of the reasons why I say is that there is this dictum that traveling is education, and each culture is a borrower and a lender, which means that it's necessary for people from one culture to leave to go to another culture in order to be educated, to learn, and so on and so forth. And that's the reason why it's important for people to migrate. On the other hand, now coming back to what we have been saying, I think practically, when we observe, we see that there are practically there are reasons or strong arguments why we think people have to migrate, like bettering conditions of those back home, investing back home, maybe opening businesses, and so on and so forth. That's also important. However, I want to also say that migration or immigration should not always be seen as the best option in all situations. Yeah, it's possible for us to stay in Cameroon and still make it. There are people who have stayed in Cameroon and they are making it. For instance, in Boya now, if you look among all the higher institutes of learning, I'm not making publicity, you see that there is something which you have bought in which is new, the entrepreneurial bent of it. And CUIB, where I am, is something, I think CUIB is a cradle of entrepreneurship in Boya. And when you get into the context of entrepreneurship and do it well, you see that there are 1,001 opportunities around us here in Boya where we can make millions. So that's also an option. It's an alternative which I think could help the youth.
So you can say in other words that the youth can migrate from one